Israel says it's at war after Palestinian militants launched a major terror attack.
Dr. Hamid blames successive Israeli governments for refusing to end the now decades-long occupation of the Palestinian territories. He said Israel's current government, which is often described as extreme far-right, has pursued an agenda of such harsh and punitive measures against Palestinians, which is why, he says, Hamas carried out the devastating attack.
Anti-Israeli militant group Hezbollah calling for a day of rage following the Gaza hospital blast that the Gazan health ministry said killed hundreds of civilians. The crowds that are filling public squares throughout the Arab and Muslim world putting the blame squarely on Israel. While Israel points to documentation they say shows the explosion was a result of a failed launch by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the U.S. making a similar assessment.
Shadow of the U.S. Capitol to the nation's heartland.
Free, free Palestine!
Tonight, from coast to coast, thousands are spilling into the streets in emotional protests over the Israel-Hamas war.
It's difficult for you. Yeah. It's a lot to wrestle with.
Yeah, I mean, I am Israeli, but I'm also human. Like, I don't want anybody to be suffering. Nobody deserves to die. No children deserves to die. Not on the Israeli side, not on the Palestinian side. It's really horrible.
In the south of Gaza, Palestinians are trying to find shelter. Many have fled here on Israel's order, believing it to be safer than the north.
There's bombing everywhere around us. They told us to leave Gaza, to come here to safety. But even here, it's not safe. We don't want food. We just want to return to our homes. We want calm. We want safety.
Now we're living in tents, humiliated. We don't have water or food or anything at all. We fled with the clothes on our backs.
Despite Israel's earlier directive for Palestinians in the north to evacuate to what it called safe zones, places like Khan Yunis are suffering intense bombardment and entire families are being wiped out.
The Israeli military's bombardment of the Gaza Strip continued on Wednesday night. Dozens of people were killed in the air raids. Meanwhile, a convoy of aid at the Rafah border is waiting to be delivered. Our correspondent Valerie Goria reports.
The night hasn't been quiet after US President Biden's visit to Israel. Israeli airstrikes were reported in the southern part of Gaza, reportedly killing a family. And 2 Palestinians were reported to have been killed in clashes with soldiers in the West Bank, where there have been many arrests. Now, the Israeli army has also said that it had been firing at Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon in response to anti-tank fire in the north of Israel. Now, there are no details as concerns a potential ground offensive in Gaza after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that the US support would change the equation of this war. At the same time, 3,000 tons of aid are waiting at the Rafah crossing points. On the Egyptian side, Egypt has agreed to let through 20 trucks of food and water supplies, but the road on the Egyptian side has to be fixed. It had been damaged by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. And also, Israel is demanding that safe zones be identified for the aid to be delivered, as to avoid Hamas from seizing any of this aid. And in the meantime, 500,000 people are piling up in UN facilities, displaced people. The facilities are overcrowded, and it's reported that many families are now moving back or considering to move back to their homes in the north, as they feel that they cannot be safe anywhere in Gaza.